All right. Welcome back to another episode of the Board Drill Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Kyle. With me is my co-host, Matt. And tonight we have a special guest, Coach Austin Herink, who's the Senior Offensive Analyst at UCF. Coach, welcome to the Board Drill.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
It's not live. I screwed it up. Hold on. There we go.
Yeah. I was waiting for that. I looked at a couple of episodes and I heard the soundboard there. That's fantastic stuff. I love the detail there.
And we screw it up. And by we, I mean me. I screw it up every time.
Makes it better.
So, Coach, a little bit of background. Matt met you. He had a recent clinic. He went in and listened to you speak. He came back. I remember he walked right back out and he called my phone right away. I'm driving home from Orlando to Jacksonville, and he's like, "Hey, man, we got to get this dude on the podcast. He just did this great talk and everything." So reach back out. You were gracious enough to join us on the Board Drill Podcast, which is fantastic. We don't get a lot of college personnel on here, so I think you may be like the third. So wow. You're in kind of rare air there of the the college guys. But tonight I know you're going to talk to us about the quarterback influence on third down success, correct?
That's right.
Awesome. So I know you have a presentation to share. Why don't you go ahead and share that? While he's sharing, we're going to encourage everyone to like and subscribe to content. Follow us on Board Drill. Follow us on our Substack. Follow us on YouTube. Just follow us, please, so we can get more great guests like this. So, all right, Coach, we can go ahead and see it. So what we're going to do is, like usual, we're going to go ahead and let you do the presentation. We're going to be the two idiots that ask questions.
Perfect. All right. Thank you guys for having me again. And hopefully you didn't sell it too high with the rare air there, but excited to be here. So, let's get into it. Quarterback influence on third down success. So let me get this thing going. Bang, right here. So I did this study following our season last year. And the main reason is because we weren't very good on third down. And throughout the year, I was kind of tasked along with a few other coaches to work on third down. That's how we game planned. We kind of potted up and divided and conquered. And so at the end of the year, I'm like, man, this third down stuff, I got a lot of improving here. So looked at it and was just thinking, how can we get better? And so here was kind of the method, using the scientific method, if you will, here, just to evaluate first what's going on, where are we at. So I broke down all of our past concepts by situation. And for us, you've got short yardage, which is just 3rd and 1, 3rd and medium, which is 3rd and 2 to 5, 3rd and long, which is 3rd and 6 to 9, and then 3rd and extra long, which is 3rd and 10 plus. Okay, so just broke it down by that. What past concepts that we call? So I didn't really look at ourselves from a run perspective. I just wanted to look at it from a pass game perspective. I work with the receivers and the quarterbacks, so kind of focus my attention there. So then the second step was to evaluate the top offenses on third down. And you could say, well, why didn't you look at this from what defenses were you guys getting? Well, on step one, I realized we called a bunch of different concepts. Okay, so we're getting a bunch of different looks. And that's one thing that you'll notice is through this, the top offenses, there wasn't a ton of variance in terms of the concepts they were calling or the types of plays they were calling. So you could see different looks they were getting, and they knew the weaknesses and the issues with the concepts they were calling, and I think they game planned around those. And then I looked at the worst offenses to see what makes them, toward the bottom of the college or NFL, and then what are the takeaways that we can bring back to the team this year, and how can we improve in terms of our self-scout this offseason, what can we take into next year. So that was kind of the genesis of all this. And again, you can stop me at any time. That's not going to throw me off more than I'm already thrown off. So
no, what I like about this is, Coach, if you can go back just one slide real quick, is I like the clear steps here. And I think that every coach needs to see this, right? Evaluating yourself, then looking at all the top offenses, then looking at the worst offenses and figuring out takeaways, right? If you don't have a process to put all this information together, it's just a bunch of information, right? If you're not weighing it against other things. So I know I've been a part of that, where we collect all this data and we do that, and then we don't do anything with the data. And you have to have some way to apply it. And Matt's laughing because he's probably been there with me. We're like, all right, we know all this crap. How do we apply it? And then we're kind of just lost in the weeds, right? So I like this right here, kind of the steps that you went through in the thinking process.
That's exactly why I laid it out like this, because I've seen people do studies and you get all this information. There's a lot of words, but like, are you actually getting better? What are you taking
Yeah.
back to your team? So that's kind of the process of this whole presentation here. We'll look at a few things with us. That's not really the point of understanding where we were. Mainly want to harp on the top offenses and then the takeaways from us. So that's kind of the order of operations here. So here's some stats that we had: 118th in the country. Again, that's why we did the study. 34% conversion percentage, not exactly what you're looking for there. Personnel, this was true to kind of who we were offensively. We're 11 personnel team, so no surprise there. In third down, obviously going to throw more than you pass. So this was just kind of setting the stage for everything. I think this is a really good slide in terms of just the whole thesis of this presentation. The best predictor of success on third down is distance to go. So if you look at the chart, I'm not very bright, so I like to use charts and pictures and things like that. So the closer you are to the first down marker, the better chance you have of getting a first down on third down. That's not too hard to figure out, but if you look at it, it's about 70% when you're 1 to 2 yards to go. Okay, but if you venture on down there to 7 and 8 yards, which is where we were, it's 34%. Where our conversion percentage for the year was 34%. So I saw this and I'm like, well, okay, there's some merit here. We have to improve on first and second down in order to give ourselves a chance to be good on third down. And it stayed true when you looked at the best offenses. The way you perform on first and second down is going to be critical to what happens on third down. And that's pretty self-evident, but it's just a good reminder of the best third down offense is typically a good first and second down offense as well. So again, here we go. I didn't add any red zone, backed up, or 2-minute stats. So took those out. Okay, short yardage, self-inflicted wound here. With one of those, that's going to happen. A few technique issues, a few scheme issues. I think that the takeaway from this is we only had 14 snaps here on 3rd and 1. Okay, you got 12 games, 14 3rd and 1 snaps. There's not much room for error. You have one self-inflicted drop pass. Well, that's really going to hurt the percentage there. So that is it's kind of takeaway from that slide right there. Keep it moving here to 3rd and medium. So just kind of broke it down. Types of plays here. Drop back pass was what we led the way with, which is pretty typical. You see that around the league in terms of the Big 12 and college football in general. But what I learned is drop back pass is very difficult for most quarterbacks. Unless you have a real dude back there, a seasoned guy who's been in your offense for a while, I think hanging your hat on drop back pass is going to be pretty tough, especially in today's college football with transfer portal guys. Usually you have a guy for one season, maybe not even a whole season. Drop back pass them, having to decipher what coverage they're in. The different looks defenses can provide doesn't typically translate to a high efficiency there. And just to be clear here, efficiency means we got the first down. That's our third down efficiency metric there. So 31 pass, 19 runs, 52 snaps. Okay, so that's more snaps. 3rd and 2 to 5, that's pretty standard. Okay, here's the summary of those. We had 4 explosive passes there. We're more efficient running the ball than passing it. Pros, handle blitz well. I like this detail right here. When creating rubs, we executed against man. Okay, so we had to create rubs, and that was our answer versus man. We didn't exactly win against man coverage by throwing back shoulders or, breaking guys off and route running. It was like kind of generating it within the play call. And that's kind of the second bullet point for the cons here. We couldn't create separation without manufacturing it. So that led me down another rabbit hole, which I'll kind of touch on later in terms of how do you get open? Okay. Because on third down, you're going to have tighter windows to throw. So how do you create enough separation where the quarterback feels confident enough to get you the football? So we kind of talk about that a little bit later. And then we had some breakdowns and quarterback progressions. And you'll see that again with drop back pass. I think a guy who's not as experienced, not as familiar in the system, you can expect to have some of those errors. That's kind of goes with the territory there.
Now, I'm curious. They didn't have an answer for drop 8. I know you probably don't know it off the top of your head. How much drop eight did you guys see though? Like, was it just a few or?
Quite a bit, quite a bit. We ended up getting that quite a bit because we ended up being so much more heavy in terms of passing the ball.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the deal with our third down package. Obviously, the further you go back, the more drop eight you get. But we want to get ourselves out of those situations where we get drop eight. So something that we've been working on this off season and hopefully improving on as we get to next season.
Yeah, I say that because we. No, sorry, Matt. Go ahead, Matt.
Go ahead.
No, I say that because we crack the joke all the time on this podcast about how much I hate drop eight. So I was just curious if people were actually running it. So.
Oh, Coach, yeah, I think you get that a lot in college.
Yeah. Coach, were you guys surprised about the efficiency of running the ball? You guys were more efficient at the end of the season than passing it on third and medium?
It's not something we really roundtabled as a staff, but I would say the more I watched, the less surprised I got when you look at other teams. I think, especially 3rd and 2, right? You can run the ball on 3rd and 2 and be effective. 3rd and 5, I'd say probably if you moved it further back and just looked specifically at 3rd and 5, less efficient. But yeah, I think the more you get firm in what you're doing in terms of the run game on 3rd down and just limiting those packages, I think you can see some more success there. And that's what some of the best offenses did. But I think it's surprising when you look at 3rd and medium as a whole. But when you look at it as like 3rd and 2 to 3, I think you can be pretty efficient running the football if that's your DNA. So there's that. And then we'll get to 3rd and long here. Again, more drop back pass, some play action pass as well. 31 of 34 snaps were pass. Not super surprising. 3rd and 6 to 9. 21% conversion percentage. You're not going to make a ton of hay on 3rd and long. I mean, no matter how you draw it up, but you want to steal some conversions here. And when you kind of put the whole piece together, you're able to see like, okay, you got to find a way to manufacture these. And what's that going to be based on your personnel, based on what you do offensively. And that's what the best teams do. And I'll continue moving along here. Route tops, things to improve, handling pressure, and then playmaking. At the end of the day, whatever plays you draw up, you got to have guys to execute them. And sometimes you draw up the best play into a bad look, and somebody still has to make a play to help you out there. But just not as efficient on 3rd down, but that's 3rd and long, but that's kind of how it goes. 3rd and extra long, same deal. You can see this in terms of the NFL. At the NFL level, they're just kind of running right at the sticks, throwing it to their guy, taking a shot down the field. This is not this is not a down distance where I think they're spending too much time game planning. It's 3rd and extra long. You got us. Let's move on. But the key deal here is 48 snaps. Okay, you see the difference in snap number from 3rd and 1 to 3rd and 10 plus. You're not going to have much success with that much variance between there. So that's kind of the snapshot of us last year.
And Coach, real quick before you move on from that, and it's not even necessarily about you guys, but if I'm a high school coach watching this, and I'm a former high school coach, and what I love about this is go back just 1 or 2 slides, just one where you kind of had like your notes on there. Right here, perfect. Yep. You have these summaries, you run all the data, and then what I like is that you have legitimate notes on things to improve or where you had trouble or where there was success. And just like what we talked about earlier, I think that's the important part. The data says a whole lot of things, but can you extrapolate anything from the data? And I love these points. And I think if you're a coach, you can run all this crap, you can run all the numbers and we can all stick it in Huddle or, what's the other one? Modern Football Mat or one of these other ones and get all these analytics. But if you don't extrapolate any information like, hey, we need to work on handling pressure or playmaking or one of these things, then I don't think you get much out of it. And I think if you're a coach watching this, these are the things that you need to pull from his presentation, like how, minute some of his points are and kind of those pieces behind it, because I think that's important, is to pull things from the data. So sorry, Coach, for interrupting there.
No problem. Yeah, I would totally agree with that. Like, at the end of this thing, and I've talked through this presentation a few times with different people, but like, it's not, you don't get to the end of this and think, man, I did not know on first and second down, we need to move the ball close to the sticks. Those things are pretty evident. But I do think, like, what you look at is the specific details that you can drill, you can train. Like, hey, we have to find a way to make teaching progressions easier, because clearly whatever we're doing didn't work. Okay. We have to find a way to make our route tops better, and we have to find a way to create separation. Okay. On third down, we got to make sure whatever concepts we're calling, maybe this isn't a great time to go tempo, because we need the right people in the right spots to run these routes. So if you look at it from that perspective, you can take things out of it. There's not anything in here that's going to blow anyone's mind, but the details that we're able to take out of it, I think, help you in terms of, okay, right now we're in a OTA period. So we're able to meet with the guys a couple times a week and get out in the field. So, okay, what are we drilling? Well, route tops. We're working through progressions, things like that. We're able to take from studies like this and then hopefully improve going into next year. So I think that's a great point. So here we go. Here's the best NCAA and NFL offenses. So I did this study in December. So I don't know if it finished up like this in the NFL. In college football, this just didn't have the last couple rounds of the playoffs. But Indiana, number one on third down. So that typically translates to success, and it did for them. And a lot of these teams were pretty good on offense. So I don't think there's any coincidence there. Now, this is a big graph, okay, or a big table here. Lots of numbers. So again, not very bright. So I highlighted the things in nice UCF gold here, the things that we need to talk about. Okay, third down conversion percentage. That's pretty obvious. You can look on college football stats and NFL stats and get whatever you want. Now, average distance to gain, I had to do kind of an average there. Had to take it back to Cleveland High School, do some math, an Excel sheet. So I did the work for you there. But this is pretty critical. Look at the difference between Indiana and UCF. Okay, 5.4 yards to go. That's a big deal. That'll help you have easier play calls on third down. I bet Coach Shanahan really enjoyed making those calls versus Coach Cooper last year here at UCF. And then third and long percentage here, 53%. Okay, that's how they were able to steal those percentage points to get to where they were. Now, you look at Vanderbilt here. Okay, they only completed or converted 40% of their third and one snaps, but then they get it back here with 35% third and extra long. So it doesn't matter, how you get there. That's how you got to figure out your own recipe, so to speak. But the distance to gain and the amount of snaps, like, again, we had 48 third and extra long snaps. All these guys kept it under 30, with USC down here at 27. So again, get closer to the distance to gain. It doesn't matter, where you're at in terms of, do you get a bunch of them on third and one? Do you get them on third and extra long? Whatever. But find your way as your team, how it fits with your identity to get there. So same difference in the NFL. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sorry, Matt. What I love about this right here is you just put out an article this morning on Utah's third and short package, and there they are at 91% on third and one. So this is really coincidental, Coach, but Matt literally just put out an article this morning on Utah's short distance yardage package. So it's a good little
yeah. I don't know if Matt, you found the same thing I found, but I thought it was pretty comical how much power read they ran. I mean, that's pretty much all they did. Yeah, it wasn't
a lot of
It wasn't. Go ahead.
Yeah, they got under center a lot in third and one, fourth, goal line situations. Now, probably a little bit more with goal line than what you saw. Down on the goal line, goal to go, they were going to be under center, and they're just knocking the ball ahead. But they ran a lot of power read and a lot of quarterback bash stuff.
Yeah, no doubt. They were who they were. They got big and they ran the ball right at you. So that was kind of the takeaway there. So you mentioned a lot of the audience is high school coaches, and I made that I made this presentation with that in mind. So To me, this kind of hits a wide range of types of quarterbacks you probably have in your program. So if you're lucky enough to have the Heisman Trophy winner or a guy, let's say, to make it more comparable to high school, all-state guy, all-conference guy coming back, the key feature when we look at Indiana is going to be trust. Yeah, you could tell, number one, the coaches trusted Fernando Mendoza, but he trusted his teammates. And I think that's built in January, February, March, throwing routes, all those things. But trust is one thing that I kept coming back to with Indiana. Diego Pavia, I think you guys will appreciate this. I put the asterisk by his height there. That's what he's listed as, but I guess the combine said otherwise there. But again, if you have a guy like Diego, probably third baseman on the baseball team, point guard on the basketball team, just a good athlete, man. It just makes plays, has a good feel for the game, and love to have a guy like that. Here's our Utah Utes, Devon Dampier, just a great runner. He's not Peyton Manning when he drops back, but the guy can run the football. And if that's a guy that you have, there's ways to have success on third down as well. And then Caleb Williams, what I liked about this one is growing relationship with play caller. I think if you go back to July and you're going into the season with Chicago Bears, you like who you've got a coach, but you're still trying to figure out, is Caleb Williams the guy? And I think throughout the season they found that, and it was cool to watch them develop over the year and kind of grow into the familiarity they got to toward the end of the year and making it into what Caleb does best and within Coach Johnson's system. So that's kind of who we'll be looking at going forward with this study. Short yardage notes. There's not much more short yardage in this presentation, but here were kind of the things that I took away from it. Can you run your quarterback? Okay, if yes, you can stay in 11 and 12P and just add a hat in the running game. Okay, if not, you got to go get heavy. Okay, you got to get big. And that's kind of just broad strokes there. If you got a guy like Julian Sayin at Ohio State, they stayed, they got pretty heavy and they ran the football. You got a guy like Devon Dampier, a little bit more 11 and 12 personnel, and just run the ball downhill. Identity concepts. Okay, what is your number one run? What are you good at in the run game? Okay, and then what are the complements for that? Okay, what do you have off of that? And then on top of that, what are the challenging looks we can get? So I think this is one of the best nuggets that I took from this whole deal is, okay, this is what we're good at. What are the weaknesses or the issues with this play? Okay, and how can we plan for how they're going to attack those? Okay, this is a weakness we have here. All right, well, let's plan around that. How can we add things to potentially stop them from attacking this weakness? Okay, this is an issue we have. Yeah, maybe we should get into another play. What's a play we have off of this? Or just maybe change the presentation of the play to maybe give yourself a better edge. Or if they're going to be a exterior blitz team there, how can we get up underneath the blitz? So whatever it was, look at what you're good at and then think about the potential problems the opponent presents and then just operate off of that. I think that keeps things pretty simple, streamlined, so you're not trying to chase your tail a little bit when you're making your short yardage game plan. So again, lots of notes here, but just simply, okay, Indiana, inside zone on 3rd and 1. Okay, 3rd and short for Ohio State. All their conversions except for one were 12P plus run plays. Okay, operated at a high clip with this strategy. Only one of the runs were stopped. 7 zone runs, 2 runs with pullers. Okay, we talked about Vanderbilt earlier. Here's your Utes. Utah got big and ran downhill with the quarterback, sometimes bringing in more of a runner at quarterback, whether it was power, counter, or inside zone. Conversions were downhill runs with extra O-linemen at 11, 12P. Zone runs, 11, 12 personnel made up all of USC's short yards conversions. So just talking about college there, like very simple. They were not a smorgasbord of different things. It was just, here's what we're doing. Here's what we're good at. that's our third and short package. And I think that makes you more efficient when you're game planning other things. If like, hey, this is what we do on third and short, we know that in August and we continue to build on that throughout the year. I think one, you get better at it. Two, you can spend time on other parts of the game plan as well. So that's kind of the third and short takeaways there. Okay, Indiana down to third medium now. So drop back pass here. They're more multiple in the run game, but they took shots down the field more so than other teams. And then obviously the QB play was the key here. Okay, we'll get to some tape. I like this situation here. I don't know that I would have made this call, but 3rd and 2, down 4, Big Ten championship game. Okay, in the third quarter, they take a shot downfield. We call this depot. And then they've got this guy with a dig right here at number 1. So, right, 2 post and taking a shot down the field. Big play, big explosive play there for the Hoosiers. But you don't make that call unless you have a tremendous amount of trust in your guy. Now, again, he's throwing it to the I'm blanking on the Charlie, whatever his last name is, the receiver that made all the plays against Miami as well.
Yeah.
But there's trust in a lot of ways there. One, okay, we're putting this in your hands, Fernando. Let's take a shot down the field. He's trusting his receiver. And also, if they don't pick it up, we trust that Fernando's going to make a play later in the game to win the game. So we don't have to get this, but we feel like we're playing with house money here because we've got a quarterback that we trust. Let's throw the ball down the field, take a shot, and if we don't get it, we'll get it at a later point in the game. So I thought that was pretty indicative of who they were just in general. They were risky, but as a calculated risk because of the trust they had in the people in their building. So this is another good look right here if I can get to it. Okay. Right here. Just a sweep read. So we talked about drop back pass earlier and how that can be tough for a quarterback who's new to your system. I know Fernando is obviously a first-year quarterback in his system, but talking to the Indiana guys, a lot of the stuff was carryover from what he did at Cal. So it's more like a year 2 or 3 as opposed to a year 1, which I also think is pretty critical when you're bringing in a new guy, understanding where he came from. But this is just a sweep read, so it's coverage independent, if you will. We call this slap Hank. Okay, you've got a stick up top with a flat route. 1, 2, 3, 4. He gets all the way to his 4th read and makes the play. So you'll see this here. Just watch his eyes work. Boom, boom, all the way back there. And then we move the ball down the field for a first down on 3rd and 5. Nothing crazy there. This is a concept I'd assume most of you guys have in your systems, but just a spacing concept, if you will. And he rips it to his 4th read on the play. Okay, getting to Vanderbilt now. Okay, what I liked about this is it was easy. Okay, I don't know Diego. I don't know anyone at Vanderbilt right now, but you could tell they made the game very easy for him on 3rd down, and you'll see this on this play right here. Okay, situation 3rd and 2, 2nd quarter. We're down to Texas in Austin. Okay, and you tell me if I think all 3 of us could have made this throw right here for the first down. Okay, get it to the guy in the flat. Yeah, this did not take a ton of bandwidth mentally from Diego. But to me, this is who they were. You got a downhill run potentially, and then all you do is you get this guy on the perimeter, get his eyes on the target he's throwing to, and we move the ball down the field. Nothing crazy. And you just saw this a lot from these guys. It wasn't anything revolutionary. Okay, you get to this one right here. Again, basically a 3-by-1 smash look with a stick on the inside. Boom. Just get him on the move. Hit the guy right in front of your face. So, again, nothing crazy with Diego and those guys. They didn't ask him to, read the coverage and see what was going on down the field. Just run and hit the guy in front of you. Okay.
A lot of easy throws there, Coach. A lot of easy throws for Diego.
A lot of easy throws. And the thing is I think based on what you do in the run game, those 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3s, plays on plays, get some plays that, they're going to have to prepare for. and then make it easy for your quarterback with the keeper series or whatever it is in the quick game, and just build the same presentations, but concepts that build on each other.
And they exactly did that in the first clip you showed, Coach, because we did a little breakdown on Vanderbilt earlier in the year, and they ran belly G lead a lot in short yardage situations, pulling the play side guard, leading with the fullback through the hole, and they show that exact look there.
Yeah, same presentation, just another way to get to it. So to me, the more you can marry your run and pass game, the better you're going to be offensively. And to me, that also helps in game planning. Okay, we've got this run that we really like. What's a keeper off of it? What's a play action off of it? So I think that's another way to streamline game planning. Okay, still heavy downhill run, cue power read, and they had some passes off as we'll get to here. So it took me, like, when I was breaking this game down, it took me probably 20 plays to realize this was not Notre Dame. Okay, this is West Virginia. I cannot believe that they let West Virginia look like the Golden Domers here. But this is their kind of bash, cue power situation here. Like, this is what they did in the field. I know they were probably different on the goal line, but this is what they did. It's just tough, hard-earned yards, but this is who they were. Mm-hmm. So we'll move on here just for the sake of time, but we got power pass as well. Similar presentation. You get the false key here, and then they're picking on this weak hook player. Okay, so they're picking on this guy, and just they've ran Q power already in this game, picking on the weak hook player, and then hitting a skinny or a glance behind him. So again, plays on plays, same presentation, getting to plays off of that, I think is kind of who they were throughout all of third down. They kept running the football. The further back they got, they didn't care. They were still going to run the ball.
They did not care.
That's just what they did. And I think that'll play well. I was in the Big Ten at Nebraska and Washington. Like, I really think Kyle Whittingham was one of the best hires in the country. I think he'll have some success there, certainly be stable for the program. But, yeah, I think they will have a lot of success at Michigan because their identity is very similar to what wins in the Big Ten.
Yeah,
so
it's going to fit their personnel well, too.
Yeah, I think so, too. This is another look at what they did on third down. This was a little different, but it still kind of met philosophically with what they were doing. So you've got a screen down here, motion to the screen. For whatever reason, he didn't like it. And then you just get back to the flat here with the running back. I thought this was pretty snazzy. Nothing crazy here. Just, do we like the screen? He didn't, and just got back to the flat. So like that presentation there. Again, they were not asking their quarterback to beat teams with his brain and with his arm. But I think that making the game easy for him, running the ball, getting physical, that was the key to their success. Okay, third medium with the Bears. Okay. One thing with Caleb that you've seen pretty much throughout his whole career is how good he is in keeper series and movement. And so that's what they did. Again, a lot of plays on plays. You got insert right here. And then he's able to extend it and hit the drag on the backside. But this isn't something that I think we can expect to ask quarterbacks to make this play all the time. But this is kind of what they did. They were heavy in the movement game in terms of third medium. And this looks like vintage Caleb Williams to me from his days at USC. Okay. Again, one thing to note on third down as well with Ben Johnson, some of these other play callers is stacks and bunches and then condensed splits.
Yeah.
And I think this clip is really good of illustrating like how he makes the defense communicate. Okay, so we've got some motion already. These guys down here at the bottom, they're trying to figure out, are we going in and out, top hat, low hat, what are we doing here? Okay, now the running back's motioning, so the linebackers, the safeties, they have to communicate these things. And then we just create a simple rub right here. Okay. Again, that's his first read, I'm assuming, right here. Taking it, getting it to his back in the flat, moving on with life.
And I think that's I'm a defensive guy, and we always talk about when it's tough with the offense when they rapidly expand from tight sets, right? That's where just so much communication has to have, just like you said. So anytime you get in condensed splits, we always talk with our kids, hey, they get in condensed splits to do one of two things: run across the field or rapidly expand. Like there's no other real thing that you're doing there, right? So
Right.
we've got to have that communication there and then be ready for it. Like you said, then it's like, all right, we've got our, our top hat call or our IO or whatever it is on stacks. And now that running back bounces out. It's like, well, oh shit, that's kind of like bunch now. So now it's like, all right, what check are we going to? Is there a check for this? Or does a linebacker have to sprint over top? In this case, a safety. So I love that aspect on third down. I mean, defensively, I hate it, but offensively, I think that's a great look is, right, get in the condensed splits, make the defense communicate, and create an easy throw for your quarterback, because that's been the name of the game this entire presentation, right? Have a clear line of sight and an easy read for your quarterback on third down and let him make the decision quickly. Well, you do that by if you can confuse the defense, then you get someone that runs wide open like here. So
Yeah, and it's simple. This is just, another layer, a simple motion for the running back. Nothing else changes for the receivers. Only one player really has to change his assignment. I think just adding those simple layers again provide a lot of dividends for the offense. Okay, this is one of my favorite clips in this whole presentation. Okay, so you've got another post dig situation out here with the inside guys. They get banged up, but one thing I'd like to highlight on this is the tight end here. Okay, so he's chipping and getting out late for the check down, but I think this is a really cool way, and this was kind of a trend across college and the NFL. Alabama did this a lot, where they had a chip, but they brought this guy from the backside to be the check down on the front side of the concept, right in the quarterback's face. I think that's a super easy way for a quarterback to get into a rhythm in a game. You got check down. You don't understand what's going down the field. It's hard to get the picture early in a game, still trying to fill out what's happening. And then you got a check down coming across the field. One, he's showing that he's blocking. So maybe the guy who's keying him is like, okay, he's into protection. Then he's going all the way across the field. So we're going to have to push that or move that depending on what coverage we've got called. And so then he just trickles right there, middle of the field, right in the quarterback's field division. Easy check down for explosive pass right there on third down. So I thought that was great play design there.
Yeah, usually when you see that chip route, they're going to take it straight to that near sideline. Traditionally, I like bringing it across the play there. That's cool.
That's right. Yeah, there's a lot of great examples of guys doing that the past couple of years. Again, more motion. Okay, easy read, but I think early on in the season too, we saw the motion with the running back, seeing motion with the receivers. I think he's putting a lot more on some of the other guys in the system as opposed to putting it on Caleb. Like easy two-man combinations. We call this Coco, so a choice out and a corner, and then just drive on the backside. So he's putting it on the receivers, with their detail to get open. And then Caleb's just reading sweep progressions. And again, this is pretty early in the season. This is still September. They're wearing short sleeves in Chicago. But again, not super difficult for a quarterback who's probably still trying to gain some confidence in the NFL. Okay, now in a third and long with Indiana. Okay, broken tackles, one-on-one plays on the ball were key here. Less scheme, more about players making plays. So one thing, at least for us at UCF this offseason, we want to complete at least 12 passes this year down the field of 40 yards or more. Okay, that's our goal. So how are we drilling that? We're working on that in pre-practice in our zero period, and it's our goal every day to complete one in practice. We got to complete one against the defense. So that was what Indiana was best at. Last year they had 17 passes, over 40 or more yards down the field. And again, I think that goes back to trust. So how many times did they throw that in practice? How many times are they working on things like that throughout the course of the year, throughout the course of just individually the quarterbacks and receivers getting together and throwing? And so, again, look at this situation. If I can get to it. Yeah. Fourth quarter, 3:19 left in the game. You're down by 3, 3rd and 7. Okay,
I knew
taking
this
a
was gonna
shot
be
down
that
the
back
field.
shoulder throw. I knew
Yeah.
this was the play too.
Yeah. And now this isn't 40 yards down the field, but they were trying to take a shot and they were able to adjust because I believe they've repped this.
Yeah.
Again, just building on who are your best players, what do they do best, and how do we get the outcomes that we're trying to get to. So you got to rep things like this, and this happens in practice. This happens on their own, but you could tell this team was connected. You could tell that the coaches trusted them. You could tell that the players trusted them as well. Another example of Fernando here, 3rd and 8, thrown into the teeth of the defense. Okay, this is deeper, what we call a zero route, similar to 5 on a die, Hank concept here. Sitting over the ball, just ripping it. Okay, right to the teeth of the defense. Dropping some guys here in zone, finding a window and ripping it. Great example of catching and knifing right here, getting vertical for the extra yards. But again, trusting that we're going to make the play, throwing it right into the heart of the defense. Okay, 3rd and long with Vandy. Okay, throwing and winning against man coverage was their key to success. One-on-one matchups, multiple completions were hot answers to blitz. Again, I think he sees the game really well. I don't know if he's exactly diagnosing coverages, but he sees what's happening, and he's able to make plays. Again, here, we've got 2 quick game concepts. We got double slants, okay, or we got triple slants up top, and then we've got like a go and out route down here at the bottom. And they even drop some guys out here, and he just replaces what looks like a blitz look with these slants. Over the ball, again, I don't think this is exactly the prettiest throw of all time, but again, we're moving the chains in an SEC game. Just moving the ball down the field, making simple, easy reads with a pressure look. Looks like they got a sim pressure here with guys dropping out. Boom. Okay, we'll get to this one. I like this. It's a really good look right here. 1, we send the running back out, bring him back in. Okay, diagnose the coverage. Okay, we've got man coverage. And in this right here, we've got some sort of what we would call bench dagger. They end up bringing this guy across the field. Okay, we're clearing this thing out. And then we've got a 15-yard dig right here. Now, what I think Fernando saw is, okay, we've got man coverage. He's got his tight end right here on a linebacker running a bench route. And I think at this point he said, that's what I'm working. He didn't read any of this dagger stuff over here. Didn't worry about the check down coming across the field. He knows he's got his tight end against the linebacker because pre-snap, the coordinator had the running back motion in and out. All right. Works the one-on-one like they would every day on routes on air. Or not routes on air, but one-on-one period. And we're ripping that for a first down. Again, making the game easy for these guys. Okay, here we go back to your Utes. 3rd and long. Okay. Here we go again. Similar type presentation. We don't care that it's 3rd and 6. We're running, getting a first down. Okay. Love it. And then off of it here, similar type deal. We've got, the false key with the puller. And then we're replacing this nickel right here with the tight end. I love that. On 3rd down, let's just get it to big people. How about that? That makes some sense. So again, super easy stuff right here in terms of just common sense football. And that's what Utah is. I think that's a coach's, your favorite coach's favorite team is the Utah Utes. Everything they do, you're like, man, yeah, I think that's repeatable. Maybe we can take that back to our team. And then you're like, well, they're pretty good. They've been doing this for a while. It's funny. I worked for Jed Fish at Arizona, and he said, you watch every coach that gets hired in the Pac-12 at the time. They all say, we want to build a team like Utah. And, several coaches came and went throughout that time period. But there was so much respect for that program and what they do. And I think a lot of it's just, hey, we've got a really big guy here. Let's throw him the football if they're going to add an extra hat to the run fit.
Yeah, Coach. And when I started breaking them down, I started watching more and more and going, oh my God, all this is transferable to the high school game. If you don't have a great quarterback, you can do exactly what they're doing. And it's just, it all builds on top of each other. I thought it was beautiful offense.
That's right. No, it's super intuitive. It's super, it just makes a lot of sense. I guess just kind of to put it plainly there. 3-level floods. These were similar concepts to what I ran in high school back in who knows when, but just 3-level floods. It wasn't anything crazy. I guarantee you, Caleb's seen these concepts in 7-on-7 since he was in high school. But a 3-level flood, again, we're making the defense communicate. We're in a bunch. Okay, now we're switching releases. We got guys going inside, guys going outside, and just finding spots in zone coverage. I think this is pretty friendly stuff for a quarterback. Again, early in the year. This is looks like September, according to the data here. But yeah, just another easy throw. Not having to read the whole field. We're just keying the boundary here for these guys. Move on to the next clip here. Options. Eye progression. I think this is pretty easy. We've got verticals with a measure again. Motion the tight end out. We got to communicate. You see the safety at the top. Oh, crap, I got to get over there. Handle business. And then again, I feel the pressure. I've got somebody in my face to solve that problem. Easy completion on third. Easy throw.
Easy throw.
Nothing crazy. Okay, it gets pretty redundant here toward the end, but almost done with looking at this, and we'll get to some of the takeaways shortly. Okay, again, this is the other part of the trust. We're now on 3rd and extra long. Okay, 3rd and 10. If we don't get this, it's okay. We have Fernando Mendoza. We know where we're at. We're backed up here. Get a screen out here. They end up getting a first down simply because of execution. This is one of the few screens that they had, but they're really efficient with this one. We call this bird. Getting out here to the right side, this would be bird 3, just because the sideline count to the tackle should block the third man from the sideline. But getting vertical, getting the first down, we understand if they get us here, that's all good. We'll punt the ball back. We'll take care of business the next time. Again, we're attacking downfield here. 3rd and 12. Taking a shot. Middle of the field with this coverage. Okay, great job by the receiver. He rips it in there, shields the ball from the defender with his body. Just 4 verticals. Nothing crazy. I'm sure everyone's got 4 verticals in, but good anticipation. Puts it on his back hip. That's a tight window throw. Hopefully we're not banking on making many of those this year, but again, just making plays. Here we go. 3rd and extra long. This is where you start to see the Johnny Football and Pavia come out here. This one was good. I think this is a practical takeaway from 3rd and extra long here. They ran these guys at the sticks, okay? Like, understand what you're trying to get on 3rd down. Like, all right, it's 3rd and 10. We have to get 10 yards to get the first down. Well, the guy runs his route to 10 yards, and they put the ball on him. We get the first down, okay? Another thing here, and a lot of coaches would say this is a no-no, okay? He's scrambling around, making a play, dumps it to his running back, and now this guy sticks the ball out, okay? We've all been in meetings to where we don't want to stick the ball out unless it's, 4th and 1 and a certain situation, all those things. And there's a lot of merit to all those conversations. But what I like is you can tell Vanderbilt had a mindset on this down. It's 3rd and 12. We have to get 12 yards. Get the ball to the sticks. Let's convert. So you could see that there, which I appreciated. I thought they were very situationally aware on 3rd down. Utah, now we're a little bit over our skis here, or out in front of our skis with the Utes. And so they were not very good on 3rd and extra long. But they took a shot here. I wanted to include this. This was one of their lone completions, 14% on 3rd and extra long. But, again, who'd they throw it to? Well, they threw it to a tight end. We threw it to a big guy. So you like to see those things. Big completion there for those guys.
The quote of the podcast: on third down, throw it to big guys.
Yeah, throw it to big guys. What do you know? So, and again, I really liked what these guys did. Tight and splits, but we're running right to the sticks. We call this a swirl route down here by number 1, who's got the jersey number 2. But we rip it to him. His whole shoulder pads are facing the quarterback. You like to see that. Easy completion. Like to see him run back to the ball a little bit, but we got the first down. And then off of those type plays, they had this down here. You'll see, I think this is Roman Dunze, just a little stop pump. Okay. They've been running to the sticks all season. They give him a stutter over the top. And then this is why you're the number 1 pick in football. Throwing that ball there on the sideline and the hole there, getting a first down. So that concludes the first part of this. I promise it'll speed up on the back end, but as you can see, it's not entirely just all these crazy concepts or these coaches are just wizards. It's just how easy can we make the game for the quarterback? So that's kind of what we'll get to the takeaways here. Okay, the best understood the situation. There are obvious mentality shifts based upon down and distance. Okay, once you get 3rd and 1 to 3, a lot of heavy personnel and posing your will on the opponent. Okay, 3rd medium, you're going to see pass, but usually those passes were around the sticks, but concepts that show up all over their tape, not just on 3rd down. I think they were taking concepts that they use throughout their normal down and distance game plan and bringing it into the 3rd down. 3rd and extra long, like I said, in the NFL turns into all or nothing a lot, but understanding this is an opportunity to get your players the ball, let them make plays, get it up to your best receiver if you got one of those, and then get to the sticks. So that's the first part there. Okay, the best understood personnel. Who is on the field? Who is where on the field, and how can we make this play successful? How can we get our best players the ball? Okay, if it's short yards, let's get big and run the quarterback, or give it to a big person and keep the chains moving. 3rd medium for Vandy, we saw move the pocket to create easy completions. And then 3rd and long at Ohio State and USC, 11P on the field using day 1 pass install. Okay, each team seemed to have an identity, and the 3rd down pack just played into that. Again, just simple takeaways. 1st and 2nd down. I think this is the first football presentation to ever include the word trite. So I think we broke a record there. But these 2 bold points right here, I thought were good synopsises of what we're talking about. The top 5 college football teams studied were all in the top 40 of 1st down conversion percentage. Okay, so be good on 1st down. The 5 college football teams studied were all in the top 15 of 2nd down conversion percentage. So there you go. Don't play 3rd down. Try to get the 1st down and 1st and 2nd down. That'll help you on 3rd down. Okay, this gets to the more fun part of the presentation. Let's look at people being bad. Yeah, let's make ourselves feel a little bit better.
I like
and
the
when
thumbs
you're
down.
when you're 118, it's good to look at, the only the 13 teams or so behind you. Okay, so Sam Houston, hopefully they're not tuning in. We'll pick on them a little bit. But 8.6 yards to go on 3rd down on average. Not much going on 1st and 2nd down there. Okay, and then again, 48 snaps is bad, but 61 snaps is pretty tough as well. Okay, on 3rd and extra long. 8% conversion percentage. Okay, not going to make a lot of hay with that. So you can see that kind of same deal here as we saw with the good teams, but just inverse. So got to get closer to the distance to gain, and let's stay out of 3rd and extra long situations. And you can see a lot of these guys are either picking high or changing uniforms or whatever. They got to find new ways to get better there. As a Tennessean,
as a Jags fan, I love that. So
yeah. Okay, here we go. Summary of the worst offenses on 3rd down. Lack of identity, very little repeatability. Okay, not a lot of the same concepts were showing up. You could tell that they were looking at the explosive reel tape of the other teams and just saying, hey, let's copy and paste that. It wasn't as much of this is what we do. This was not the Utah formula of this is who we are. We're doing what we do. That was not what you saw here. Lack of situational awareness, not knowing where the sticks are. Several times with each team, the intended receiver would run a route short of the sticks. They'd end up with a 4th and 1 or 2. Okay. And shots down the field on 3rd and short, medium. I would not recommend that unless you have Fernando Mendoza or something like that. And then discipline, penalties, miscommunication. The old Bill Belichick adage, you can't win till you keep from losing. You saw that with these teams as well. Scheme, not many hot answers. Okay. Many of the sacks the quarterback took were because there's nowhere to go with the ball in blitz situations. And then on 3rd down, make sure you have a guy who can catch the check downs if it's a running back. Okay, that's pretty critical. Knowing who's in the game and how to get them in situations where they can be successful. Okay, so this is, in my opinion, my favorite part of the presentation. How do you tangibly take things away from this? Okay, lack of calculated aggression at quarterback. I think there's a difference in a quarterback understanding whether or not a guy's running with him or a guy's covering him. That's a Coach Sanders adage he used to say all the time. Is the guy running with him or is he covering him? Okay, that's a clear distinction to make at quarterback. And then quarterback movement. So the best quarterbacks in football, when they move, they're moving vertically. They're putting the defense in conflict. Okay, they're putting pressure on the defense. They're not moving laterally. And we'll get into some of that here in just a second. Lack of separation with receivers. Okay, I went into a whole separate study about this of, okay, how do you create separation? Well, one, you got to create separation off the line of scrimmage if you're getting pressed. So can you beat press? Okay, then how do you create separation in your stem of your route? Well, okay, you have to have some sort of tempo. Are you going to go 100% the whole time? Well, they can cover you a lot easier if you're running full speed the whole time. So mix up your tempo. Okay, maybe it's 80 to 100, whatever it is. Understand you're the one leading this cat and mouse race here. And then at the top of your route, we talk about hammer, gather, drive. Okay, those are the quick coaching points. We say hammer your foot into the ground. Okay, gather your momentum, and then drive back to the football. And so working those route tops is something we put a lot of emphasis on this offseason. Then at the end of the day, players have to make plays, but we're going to focus on quarterback movement. So here's some good examples of quarterback movement. Okay, and I think you can drill this. I think you can coach this. I don't think this is just something where Josh Allen makes a ton of plays. I think we had a little visitor there for just a second. I don't know if you guys heard that, so this is Josh Allen again. I don't think this is something that you just see on Sundays and these guys have all the magical powers that it took to get to the NFL. I think this is something you can rep and practice and you can really coach your quarterbacks on to see this help your team out this fall. Okay, so situation here, drops back to pass. And instead of working laterally, which is what a lot of quarterbacks do, watch him just work up in the pocket. Okay, and he's working on this hook player and he's playing point guard. Okay, this guy steps up, I just throw it over his head. Okay, just work vertically in the pocket, and it's amazing how much conflict you'll put the defense in and continue to move the ball down the field. And you saw this repeatedly again on 3rd down with these teams. Okay, I think this is another great example. This is just extended triple option in my mind. Backed up situation here for the Chargers. Voids the rush, steps up in the pocket, put the curl flat defender in an enormous amount of conflict. Okay, and now we're moving the ball down the field. And again, the conflict is created by stepping up in the pocket, running at these guys. Okay, he's got to make a decision. Is he going to tackle the quarterback who's 6'5", or is he going to cover the running back or tight end out here that's working to the flat? And another example here, I think this shows the type of manipulation this creates as you work up in the pocket. So again, divisional playoff round here. Josh Allen works up in the pocket. You can see this guy. He breaks to go take Josh. And then we get the tight end wide open for a massive completion in a playoff game. He's covering his guy. Quarterback breaks the pocket, steps up, boom, we've got a guy open. They have to honor that, especially if your quarterback's a threat to run. So we've seen the good. Let's get to the blooper reel. Okay, here's the bad. Okay.
Here comes Sam Houston.
Yeah, here we go. Are they the Cougars? Is that what they are? something
Yeah, I
like
think
that. I feel like
so.
there's some
Something like
sort of feline animal. But don't work backwards. That is the main coaching point. You work backwards, you're not putting the defense in conflict. In fact, you're putting your offensive line in conflict because you're probably going to get a holding call like they do right here. Okay, you break the pocket, you move backwards, putting your team at a disadvantage. You're losing yards, and you're probably doing one of these numbers right here where you're indecisive. Do I throw it away? Do I throw it at his feet? What's going on? This is not what you want to see out of your quarterback. Another example here, when you work laterally, there's no stress put upon the defense. Okay, these guys aren't concerned with you running. They don't have to make a decision of, do I guard him or do I go guard the guy who's in my zone? What am I doing here? He's working laterally and then takes a sack. Okay, there's no threat put upon the defense. Okay, and then finally, we'll get to the takeaways. We'll bring this thing home. Okay, how do we improve ourselves on third down? Well, let's just keep ourselves ahead of the chains here. Stay out of third and extra long. Okay, most of the times teams convert between 20 to 25% of third and extra long snaps. We converted 11% of those. Okay, so that is not what we want to do. Okay. We'll move on to this one right here. Develop an identity on third and short. We're able to convert 64% of those, but we didn't really have an identity. It was very clear what these teams were doing. So this year, we have thought about this. We've talked about it. What does our personnel do? What's going to be most conducive for our success? And that is what we do. And our players know it. Our staff knows it. And that's one of our core fundamentals of who we're going to be as a football team. So we're taking that into next season. And then right here, continue to harp on fundamentals. Okay. Route tops, progressions, just having awareness of these good habits, I think, is critical. Okay, these are the things we need to work on. Guys who are coming back, these concepts. Okay. How can you work on your detail in practice? How can you work on your detail in the offseason when you're doing 7-on-7? We have to be not just better at knowing the plays, but executing the plays. And so that's where players have to do their part as well. We have to create a more concise, more common sense game plan. Absolutely. We have things to get better at, but we have to help them improve their fundamentals, and they have to take that approach into our team periods and practice and into their individual work this offseason. Okay. Skill position, playmaking ability. We talked about it here. I think this is critical. We had 12 third downs, okay, that were stopped 1 yard. I can't draw a straight line. 12 third downs that were stopped 1 yard from the first down marker. Okay. Yeah. That's pretty crazy. So you look at that, how many plays would that affect in a game? How many situations there that could have been, winning or losing a game based upon us just getting stopped 1 yard from the third down or for the first down marker there. So discuss that. How can we be more aware of those things? Okay. I like this last bullet point here. The best teams seem to have their guys in the appropriate spot consistency in relation to their concepts. On several instances, we had Speedy, which is one of our receivers, for example, running bluff routes, which is just basically a wheel route. And we've received man coverage on those plays. That's a tough ask to complete a wheel route to a 5'8" receiver. Okay, so you think about that, and a lot of those were off tempos. So do we have to go tempo, or can we do speed break quick, where we start in a huddle, we've got the personnel we want in the game, we've got everyone where they want to be, and then we break it, as opposed to being tempo, and then guys are just lining up wherever they can fast enough. So yeah. I think those are tangible takeaways that we've looked at this offseason. Self-inflicted wounds. Okay. 17 third down penalties. That's not good. Half of our turnovers came on third down. Okay. That's the 10th most turnovers in the country on third down. So want to stay out of that. And then blown assignments, almost 20 completely blown assignments on 174 snaps. Okay. So that's a glaring stat. Don't want to show that to too many people, but here we are on the podcast letting that out. But I think the thing is, hey guys, the more plays we have, and I think this is a takeaway for any coach that's listening to this, the more plays you have, the more likely you're going to have bust and blown assignments. So how can you consolidate your package, take advantage of what you guys do well, what you teach well as what your players can do. Because the more like, hey, I saw this team do this against them, that's a good look. Like maybe that's not who you are. Okay.
Yeah.
And then that's more install you're going to have to do for your players. And that leads to these things. So it's on the coaches to put our guys in the best position possible. And I think that's something that we've evaluated, and that's the plan going forward. So final slide here. If you don't want to read all the words I highlighted and underlined these, but execute on first and second down. Keep in mind your strengths and weaknesses personnel-wise. This identity will build bank reps, which will help execution. Okay, the best teams have the same concepts, high-level execution. Bad teams, Rolodex of concepts with low execution. And then the best teams make plays in situational football by using their players to make plays in a consistent manner to keep their team on the field. And to me, that's it. Like in a sentence, instead of having 77 slides, this ties it all home. So that's kind of the third down study we did all December, figuring out what the heck happened in the fall. But a lot of it is, how can we make our third down package pack more punch? And I think a lot of that comes down to knowing who you are, knowing which players you have, what can you teach well, and how many reps can we get at that throughout the year. So when we get on third down, it's not some totally new package that players haven't seen. This is something they're very used to and have a lot of familiarity with.
Yeah, I think that's such a good point where you talk about, it's funny, it's 2 podcasts in a row, Matt, where we talked about people simplifying things, but not simplifying for the sake of simplifying, making sure that you're keeping it simplistic, right? Here's our third down concept. So we want to execute at a high level. And when we don't think it's like a high execution section, like a third long, let's be smart. Let's throw it to our big guy that we know can win a 50-50 ball, or at least has a better shot of it, right? And that's simplistic thinking. I'm not saying that the plays and what you're going out there is simple, but the simplistic thinking of like, hey, here's who we are on third down, and this is our plan. So when we're ready to go, everybody understands what we're doing. It is simplified. We know who we are on third down, as opposed to guys sitting in the huddle, going, I wonder what the hell we're going to call here. Like, well, what am I going to run here? So I think that those are really, really good points.
There's a lot of coaches that need to hear this, because a lot of them go to that Rolodex on third down. Let's throw something against the wall, see what sticks, especially if they haven't had a lot of success, like you were talking about with Sam Houston. Like you just end up going to that Rolodex and instead of trying to do something that you can consistently repeat over and over, and being able to repeat that skill over and over at a high level is what, as you show, what gets you those third downs, and converting those third downs lead to touchdowns. So
yeah, I think I was looking at the Rams this week. Actually, there's a really cool cut up on Substack from Bobby Peters. He's talking about their play action dagger stuff, and you could tell like they were just going to run dagger with their play action stuff, but they were getting to it from different looks each week, and they got so good at running dagger. They got so good at reading and throwing dagger. So the reps that you have with that, and then you're presenting it in different ways each week, but it's the same thing for the receivers and for the quarterbacks. So it goes back to like Mike Leach's principle with the air raid. We're just going to run these routes, run these plays so many times to get better at them, to where it doesn't matter if you know that they're coming. We're going to out execute you. But it's doing it in a pro style system. It's doing it with plays on plays, with this is the run presentation we're bringing to you. And so you're going to see that and think it's a run. Then we're throwing dagger behind you. But we've done that for 8, 9, 10 weeks. But these guys are so good at dagger. And then off of that, they have ways to protect their route tops without breaking routes or, stutters and goes. So I think you see that all across football, whether it's with Sean McVay or middle school football. Just what are you good at, man? Like, what are you doing in terms of, this is what we teach. Our team knows our identity, and this is what we're going to do. And I think to me, that helps you in terms of game planning. Like, okay, we're a wide zone team. How are we going to get back to wide zone? And just start there, as opposed to just thinking, oh man, what's been good against this team? What's everyone else done? that's a tough place to start. And I honestly don't think that breeds a lot of confidence to the players, the coaching staff. Like, the more you can do what you do, I think everyone in the building feels better about going into the game.
And that's been the theme in football, and it was the theme defensively for the Seahawks this year, right? What are we good at? Well, we run these two coverages, and we're just going to get to these two coverages 100 different ways. But everyone knows how to run these coverages because we run them every day, right? And then we run these 4 blitz, but we're going to get to them 100 different ways. So it's right. It's the McVay of defense is what people are, kind of whatever, however they want to coin or talk about Mike McDonald, but it's the same thing, right? McVay, like you just said, wants to throw dagger 100 different ways. Well, you know what? Seattle's going to run, their stuff 100 different ways, whether it's, their Tampa stuff or their cover 3 stuff. Like, hey, we're just going to end up in every variation of it ever and figure it out. And if you do, then you'll have a good night. But if you don't, you're going to be in a lot of trouble, and we're going to do it a lot of different ways. So it's really interesting how football, went super complex for a while. And now I think it's coming back to like, well, it's not like complex in the traditional thinking. The complexities in like how many different ways can we do these 5 things,
right?
As opposed to like, hey, we're going to do 55 things, right? We're going to do them all, so which is always the age old adage that we hear coaches offer or argue about, right? Do I have a lot of things? Do I have a little things? Do I run 100 formations and I run 5 plays? Do I run 50 plays and 2 format? What is it? So
we had a one thing just off of that point is we had our offensive line coach this year passed away, which was a terrible deal. But then his kind of mentor came in right after he passed to kind of pick up the slack. We had an analyst who ended up coaching the offensive line, but Coach Hope, Coach Danny Hope, who had been at Louisville and Purdue and Eastern Kentucky, came in off of Cocoa Beach, and just helped out because he had spent some time with Coach Clark. And he got here and he was like, the last thing you should be is an assignment coach. You have to coach technique. You have to coach fundamentals. Yeah. That is going to that's what separates coaches. If you want to be a guy who's just coaching assignment, well, you could go get somebody from Harvard Business School who can coach assignment. Like, how can you make these guys better at playing football? That's what a coach is. And I think it's easy to, when you get in the season, you're kind of reeling. You're like, what do I do? Yeah, this is a cool play I saw on Dan Casey or whatever it is, But the more you can be, I'm trying to make this guy a better football player.
Yeah.
And he knows we're running this concept. So how do we get better at running this concept? To me, that helps your team. That helps you as a coach. And that's kind of a square deal for all involved, as opposed to let's just draw something up and you got to install something totally new this week. And we got to go execute against a defense who's doing things they've done before.
Yeah.
So
I agree. Well, Coach, it's always, we end every podcast the same way. It'll be an interesting question for you, but we're going to make you answer it because we make everyone answer it.
Love it.
Out of everywhere you've been, what's the most unique or different thing that program did that no one else does? And this doesn't have to be an on the field thing. This could be a culture thing or whatever, but what's the most unique or different thing that a program you've been a part of does that almost no one else does?
Almost no one else does. Okay.
It's always a good one. We get people.
I want to give you an answer, so let me.
We
think
get
of
answers
this
from all over.
Yeah.
So, Kyle,
so I'll tell you this.
Yeah, go ahead, Coach.
Good. So I think, just personally, the best teams I've ever been a part of are the most connected teams. So one thing we did at Washington was this thing called Mind Time. Okay. And every Wednesday in the off season, this is a little different. I know it's tougher to do this in high school than in college, but every Wednesday in the off season was We Educate Wednesdays, where we had Mind Time. Okay. A lot of buzzwords there, but we had Mind Time on Wednesdays. Okay. And what Mind Time is you get together and there's a curriculum. We had like a leadership group come give us some curriculum that we would give to the players. And it would be just split up in random groups. Receivers would be with DBs or linebackers or whatever. And then you just talk about various like leadership topics or vulnerable things. And that's something we did for a whole year there. And I know they've continued to do it, and we did it at Arizona too. And I saw the team come together. I saw people be vulnerable and open up, and you see coaches connect with players that may not see. Because that's one thing that's different from high school and college. Like I work with the receivers and the quarterbacks on offense, but how much time am I spending with the defensive line?
Correct.
Like honestly, right now, I don't know that I could name every defensive lineman we have. But in those type situations, you're able to get close to those guys and understand them, and you learn something about them. And now the whole organization is just a little bit tighter. Because when you got 120, 30 people in the building, it's tough to know everybody, right? So I thought that was super cool and super unique. And then, I'd say that's one of the cooler things we've done. So
love it.
Was that supposed to be more like? Should I give you
that's
more,
perfect, Coach. Don't worry.
Or
no, Coach. Listen, we like to ask that and leave it super open-ended. We get stories all over the board, and I think it's just great for other coaches to hear cool things people have done that maybe they've never done. Right. So that's why we try to word it like that. We get fantastic answers, and that was a good one too. They're almost always about culture. We've gotten a few on the field ones, but they're usually a culture thing, which our audience loves. And it's just like, hey, what's a cool thing you guys did that no one else did, or maybe you haven't heard anywhere else? I'll
maybe, give you one you hadn't heard.
Okay.
I played football in Europe for a year. Okay, in Vienna, Austria, and that was a fun time. And this is for you guys with long road games. Maybe you're a team in the Panhandle and you're playing someone in Miami. Our post-game snack in Austria was German chocolate cake and beer. So you can throw that one on there.
We
go. Probably not have a job for very long. But that was I got to the bus and wasn't like your traditional pizza or Chick-fil-A situation. It was like, here's a pint of beer and German chocolate cake. And growing up in a Southern Baptist home in Cleveland, Tennessee, I had to think, well, wonder what my mom would be thinking about this right now. But
that's amazing.
It was a team deal, so you gotta partake. So there you go.
That seems fantastic. Like a heavy meal after a game.
No doubt. So,
but you'll sleep well on the bus afterwards. So there you go.
That's right. Yeah, sleep well driving through the European countryside.
Correct. So, well, Matt, do you have any closing words? I know you've heard this a couple times. So
I think it's something, when I heard of the clinic, I was like, this is something all coaches need to hear.
I agree.
Because of the proof's here, that you got to rep. You can't just throw stuff against the wall and expect it to work. You got to rep this stuff. You got to be able to execute it, and you got to be able to rely on it on third down. First, second down helps you get there, put yourself in a good position, but you got to have something reliable you can run on third down and execute to make sure those chains move. And then my last point is Kyle. I was just happy that we got a UCF one in before a Florida State one. I was surprised by that.
Charge on. Go Knights.
Let's go. Go Knights.
Look, I'm with you, man. If any, none of the Florida State guys are too want to chat too much. So, you think they'd want to talk to a Seminole, but it is what it is. So, anyways, point being, we appreciate you being here, Coach. It really is nice to get, we talk with high school coaches all around the country, and it's what we love, and it's what we continue to do. It's the core of who we are as a podcast. But I think that we always want to find ways for our audience to learn, and seeing something like this that happens at the collegiate level and the NFL level, and just seeing, all right, how do you guys do third down analysis? And now a high school coach can look at it and say, okay, maybe this doesn't feel as overwhelming. I can go do that at my level, right? Because sometimes these big reports or things you hear people do feels overwhelming. But, and I know you have a lot of tools. I'm not saying they should go out and break down every college team, but I'm saying, like, right, they can do the self-scout analysis that you have in here with themselves pretty easily, and just seeing the little minute points that you put into it, I think gives them a really good background, and hopefully encourages coaches to go do that. Because, look, you only get better through self-scout. Sometimes you got to look at yourself. I've done this plenty of times, and I'll call myself out. It's like, why do we suck right now? And it's XYZ. And, we always go back, why do we run this pressure? We've never hit home on it. Why do I keep calling it? And then I always have the vice versa, where it's like, we hit home all four or five times on this pressure, and I only called it 4 times. Like, I'm a dumbass. Like, what am I doing? I need to call that more. So I really appreciate it, Coach. Thanks for coming on. I think that's a lot of good insight for our high school crew, and we just appreciate you being here tonight.
Yeah, appreciate you guys having me. And, yeah, man, love the board drill, and well, if you need another speaker, I'd love to come back on again and get somebody else if you need that too. So appreciate you guys, and this is super cool.
Yeah,
You
you're
guys have
always
going on.
welcome back on the board drill, and anyone you want to bring into our orbit will gladly talk to. And that's Matt's doing. He came up with the name board drill in case anyone ever wants to know. And as soon as he said it, I said that's the name. So it was a good call.
Good job,
by Matt.
Yeah.
So for me, Matt, and Coach, we'll see you next time on another episode of the Board Drill Podcast.